Welcome back to London Heathrow, Echo Golf Lima Lima, and welcome back to the Zibo 737. We're going to be taking a flight today across the English Channel to Paris, specifically Charles de Gaulle, Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf. And I actually tried to do this flight yesterday, but unfortunately I had some issues with world traffic, which seems to for some reason take hours to generate ground routes. So I'm not sure if the ground routes at Charles de Gaulle are going to be working, but hopefully we're going to get to see some traffic here at Heathrow. So let's see if we can start the aircraft using Track IR. It's a little bit hard to get it to look up like that. Standby power guard is closed, alt flaps master guard is closed, windshield wipers are parked. Because the controls aren't persistent, we can kind of assume certain things. Everything is as you'd expect. This if I can get ground power on. Absolutely sure that's on. So ground power is on, and I'm going to be using APU, so I'm not going to do the tests. Let's get one of the forward fuel pumps on and turn the APU on. And just wait for that to come online. Get some movement pretty soon, hopefully. Actually, before we do anything else, let's set the fuel. Let's get this neat and tidy. 12667. It's not a particularly long flight. It will take a while to set up, as always. Just waiting for APU gen. It's a little bit awkward looking at the overhead panel with Track IR. Sometimes I will have to switch to the static view. There you go. APU gen is on. And speaking of which, let's use the static view. Start the alignment. Engine panel is set. We don't need to worry too much about that. Landing gear lights are illuminated. Parking brake is set. Now let's start setting up the CDU. Let's go for the simplified static view, make life easier. You may be intimidated a little bit by the FMS. It's not that difficult to program. If you can set up a G430 or G530, it's essentially the same thing, it's just a slightly different format or slightly different way of entering the information, but it's basically the same thing. Let's get the GPS. We're at 242. And we are going to Lima Foxtrot, if I can find it, Papa Golf. Flight number is, I think, 326, if I'm not mistaken. Reserves I'm going to put in as 1.2. I think that's correct. It's my go-to number. And altitude will be 210. Execute that. Okay, let's, if we're going to use flaps 5 and V2 is 135, departing on 27 left, May 2G. Let's count the okay, at this point I'm going to look at the route. So looking at Sierra Foxtrot Delta. Let's go for the always click the wrong side. I'm not 100% certain about this route because I've used SimBrief. I've not been able to come up with a route that I was totally happy with before. There are certain issues with this route right at the start. I'm not sure at the end because I've not actually flown this route completely. I kind of started it yesterday, didn't get to complete it because I ran out of time. It was actually a really interesting flight because we had some pretty poor weather in the UK and a lot of rain on takeoff. I don't think we're going to get that today. Always go with it. I think it's always the first one that you take because that's the closest one. And I think that's it. Oh no, a few more. I spoke too soon. SimBrief is really, it's a really good tool, but you have to be careful with the routes that you select. As I said, I'm not completely convinced this is going to work smoothly, but at worst it's going to be a learning experience. I believe that's all I need to enter. Let's go back to the arrival. We're going to be coming into 27 left, ILS 27 left. Want Beaver 8V, 8 Victor, and which one do we need? I cannot remember which one. Do we go Mob 4 Whiskey? I think it's Mob 4 Whiskey. Let's hope that is the correct one. Vector. Hopefully that's just the reference point. Anyway, hopefully that is all correct. Okay, page 1, 5,000 feet, 220. Right, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that looks right. We'll soon find out. So 135 is V2. Trim is 4.58. Okay, all that done. Can move on to pre-flight procedure first officer. Flight control switches guards closed, yep. See if I can yaw damper, can I? Yeah, I can just about reach that. Yaw damper is on. I'm just skipping over a few. I know that I've already covered. Fuel pumps are off, aside from the fuel pump for the APU. So all that done. Electrical panel battery guard is closed. Cabin utility and IFE passenger seat power is on. That's actually on by default, if I can find it. Yeah, didn't used to be, but it is now. Standby power was also not on before, but now it's on by default. Emergency exits, although I think there's a cold and dark as well as a I forget what it's called, turnaround setup, so maybe that's how the cold and dark might require a bit more work. Lead passenger signs on auto. Windshield wipers are on park. Don't know why I keep getting the fuel indication. Window heat on. Can I figure? I'm not going to be able to make that work. Let's get the window heat on. Probe heat is off. Wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice are off. Hydraulic panel set. Engine hydraulic pumps on. They are on. Electric hydraulic pumps are off. Air conditioning panel air temp source as required. Trim air on. Temperature as required. I would set that if I knew how to. It's on auto, so I would have imagined that would just nudge it up a little bit, see if that's going to have the required or the desired effect. Bring that one down a slight bit. They're all hopefully at a correct level. Recirculation fans auto, packs, if I can get that switched on, yeah, both are auto. Isolation valve is open. Engine bleed air on. APU bleed air on, so we have dual bleeds. Set the cruise altitude. Let's say 350 for the landing altitude. Pressurization mode is auto. Landing lights retract and off. Return off lights off. Taxi light is off. Ignition is left or right, is on right. And engine start is automatic. Lighting panel set, logo. Let's set the logo on. At some point I'm going to have to look up exactly when. Set the position. The position steady. Anti-collision light off. Wing illumination and wheel well lights off. Okay, onto the pre-flight procedure captain. Lights test. I'm going to test them. Let's let's switch to, in fact, let's switch to a static view to make life easy. Minimums, ref, minimums. At some point I will have to again figure out how to set the minimums. Barometric, set local altimeter setting. Let me just cheat a little bit. To 90901. Very close to it. Always get that wrong. It's the inner knob rather than the outer. 290901. Range for the map. What have we set? Is it 320? And 640. Let's set 40. So that will do. Traffic, let's set the, well, yeah, weather radar should be off. It's got a bit dim for some reason. Map as required. So that's the plan. So we're going to be departing west and then turning southeast. It's a little bit different to the last one I did, so anyway, we're just going to take that route and just see where it takes us. Hopefully that's going to work. If it doesn't, it will be an unsuccessful flight. Flight director's on. Bank angle is centered. If the disengage bar is up, again skipping some tests. Verify IRS is complete, which it is. Oh, there you go, that's why it got a little bit dim. We've got a little bit of rain. Let's just get a little bit of windshield wipers. And landing gear panel set, so landing gear lever is down. Brake set to RTO. Always go the wrong way. There you go, RTO. N1 and speed reference are both on auto. Fuel flow is rate. Transponder set. We can find it. Set it to standby. Speed brake lever is down. Reverse and forward thrust levers are, well, where they should be. Flaps set to 5. Parking brake is set. Engine start levers are cut off. Stabilizer trim is normal. Pre-flight checklist. So before start, CDU display is set. Auto throttle arm. Set V2, which is 135. Now when we take off on 270, we're going to pretty much just fly straight forward, and we're not going to follow the flight plan. We're going to lose LNAV. At that point we will have to fly an intercept course using heading to get onto the flight plan. At least that's what I'm expecting. Initial heading will be 270. Has that nudged the bank angle across? I think it has. It's easy to get that. There you go, I think it's centered. No, it's not. There it is. It's easy to get that bank angle messed up. So, LNAV. Initial altitude. Take that on to 5,000 feet. That will be our assumed altitude from ATC. Taxi and takeoff briefing complete. Start clearance obtained. And fuel panel set. With the left and right centre fuel pumps on. Aft and forward fuel pumps on. So all the low pressure lights are off. Electric hydraulic pumps, if I can find them, on. Anti-collision light on. Trim is going to be set. It's about there. That will do. So trim is set. Before start checklist. Okay, at this point we're going to do pushback. If I can find a better pushback pre-plan. Let's get this lined up.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
And we should
ground to cockpit.
Now
Tow is driving up.
Clear those issues. So we're ready for start.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you on your way momentarily. I want to thank you so much for your company and business. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Again, welcome aboard.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
As you can see, the rain has set in a little bit, so we'll see what that's like when we actually start to climb. Let's just check the nav 1 and 2. 110.7, we'll need that for Charles de Gaulle.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Parking brake released.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
That's good to hear. Pikes off. Start right engine. Okay, let's watch N2 rise, looking at 25%. Hopefully we're going to get the engine start. Yeah, that worked first time. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly to do that, to move the lever. There you go. So let's wait for that to stabilise. Start to cut out. So let's just wait for it to stabilise. That's good. Start left engine. As you can see, N2 is rising. Starting to get a little bit gloomy. Coming at 25% N2. And start to cut out. And just wait for pushback to complete.
Operation complete.
There you go.
Set parking brake.
Parking brake is set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So what we're going to do now is just taxi, turn left, and then we're onto the runway. There's not a great distance to go. Okay, before taxi, get the gens on, prop heat on.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Anti-ice as required. Engine anti-ice as required. Oh, I've got the wrong one. There you go. Shed some light on the situation. Pax auto. Isolation valve is auto. APU bleed air is off, and APU off. APU is off. Engine start continuous. Engine start levers are at idle detent. Flaps 5 for takeoff. Before taxi checklist. Okay, before takeoff, let's set the weather radar. See, we got a bit of stuff off there. I don't think that it's a little bit more stormy over France. Going to set the transponder here because it's such a pain to see. And before takeoff checklist. Well, actually we jumping the gun a little bit, but let's get going. So idle power would just, there's enough power there to get it started. A bit slow, but it will pick up speed. So use a little bit of rudder to keep it steady. Seems to roll a little bit. I'm having issues with rudder pedals still. I really need to strip them down and clean them again. So sometimes there are going to be issues that crop up out of nowhere. Not much happening. There's no competition for the runway. So we have one aircraft. So we're going to take the second left here. And we'll see how this flight goes. I'm not totally confident about the approach, but hopefully that IAF is going to work. It's just keep it from pulling one way or the other. So you can see we've got pretty scattered grey clouds lurking. Just a shame there aren't any aircraft around. We get a solid about 26-27 FPS. And keep it from veering off to the right. And let's follow the path. Heading towards all that weather. Just trying to keep it straight. You see, it just wants to pull a little bit to the right. It's going to take it all the way down here. One thing I forgot to do actually, if I can find where the cursor's gone to. Let's get that door secured. You see we're picking up a little bit of speed here. Just when we don't need it, so we've got this fairly tight turn coming up. I'm just slowing it down a little bit again. And just make the final turn, which is going to take us onto the runway. Looks like we've got an aircraft on final, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just wait here. It's a convenient spot to this whole short position. Just get straightened out. And set the parking brake. Looks like he's on final, so while we're here, let's get the strobe. Transponder, we've already set that to TARA. Okay, so at this point it's all fairly straightforward. Let's just see what's going on here. Get a closer look as the frame rates die. Yeah, looks like we've got 2 on final. And now we have a little bit of competition. Interesting to see what this one does. Should stop. That's very nice of it. So at this point we're just waiting for, well, we're waiting for these 2 aircraft on final and this one to take off.
Unable to find view ID 1.
Wrong key. So at least we have a little bit of activity. Those elusive puffs as it touches down. Just let this guy go and see if we can just jump in. Still got that light rain. Not even sure if that one is on final. Anyway, let's let this guy go. It's got to be an aircraft surely. Anyway, let's go and make a bit of progress, then we'll get onto the runway before someone jumps. Is there somebody behind us, or is it our wing? I think it's our wing just as well. Okay, let's start rolling. We didn't have the taxi light on, but really we've got plenty of. Let's get the landing lights on actually. At this point, bit to the left. It's actually coming in. I think it might be. Gonna take me by surprise. In fact, let us just stop here. That's the drawback of not having ATC. Well, at least we get a closer look. Okay, Iberia. So let's start moving. After all, we've been sitting here for a little while, so let's start getting onto the runway and start preparing to take off. A little bit of stuck rudder pedals again. Not sure if I'm getting any increasing power for some reason. Well, that's going to be fun if I'm not getting any power. Well, the stick is working, but I'm not getting any change in power. But we'll see what happens there. We have to do some on-the-fly fixing our thrust lever. In fact, let's quickly fix that. So that aside, just a little issue with the device not quite connected. I was sure it was connected, but there you go. That's what will happen when you don't quite connect it correctly. That aside, there's always something that goes wrong. Hopefully that will be the last event of that nature. Let's start increasing power, see if I can maintain something like center line. And toga. Keep it straight.
V1, rotate.
Gear up.
400.
Okay, and let's go. See, I've lost.
1000.
Start getting flaps up. And I've just got one more notch of flaps to go. As we're going through that one. So we're flying straight ahead at 270. So we're turning onto the flight plan. That should be flaps up. Indeed it is. So the rain has actually stopped.
1000 to go.
Those wipers off. Just pull that back a little bit, that'll be good. And now we're starting to go through the clouds. I think we're not on flight plan. Track is 271, we're looking for, let me see, look for 135. It's flying intercept heading for the first waypoint, 135. We're at 5,000 feet. So when we get on to 135, we'll switch back to LNAV. So not bad clouds for stock. If you were right back at the start of X-Plane 11, you'll know how much of an improvement these clouds are. Clouds at release were really just placeholder clouds. Lamino have done a great job at improving stock clouds. You do get that flickering every now and then when the clouds just completely disappear, which is a shame, but what we're looking for now. 118. Let's change our heading to 118. He's getting slight pauses or stutters when looking around. One, two. Just a freeze. I think it's just loading in more scenery. One, two. See a little bit more of the well, I was about to say we can see more of the Orbix scenery, but unfortunately that didn't last too long. 110. That should be enough to get us onto that intercept, and hopefully we can get back onto LNAV. Hopefully that's going to work, and we are going to clear it up to 21,000, so we can climb to 21,000 when it is ready. Okay, so we've got the moon. So we're flying through those clouds that we could see on the ground. That's why we've got these kind of greyish clouds. So shortly we'll start to climb above the clouds. It's just a bit brighter. That'll do. And you can see that great night lighting that we have with X-Plane off into the distance. And we have an FMC error, not an intercept heading. Okay, let's investigate that. Well, that's suggesting we're flying past it. Okay, so well, 136 degrees. What course are we flying? Well, we're not flying 136. Okay, let's I was hoping that would work, but we're going to have to work a little bit harder to get this to work right. Is that 137? Getting another stall as we load stuff in. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm going to work quite a bit to get this to work, but should be back on LNAV shortly. 220 knots. That's 139. So that should now work. 22 miles. Yeah. That should now work. It just shows how important it is after takeoff to just monitor the flight plan. Back to those stutters again. Heading back in the rain. Nothing on the weather radar, but apart from all that heavy stuff further away. Just check the flight plan again. 60 miles to May. I think it stopped raining. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I think I'm just kind of going through that. So for now, I think we're going to run into a bit more, well, clearly we're going to run into significantly more weather, but we're just going to skirt it, we're just going to go around the edges of it instead of going straight through it, which is fortunate. Still some distance away from our cruise altitude at 21,000 feet. So I should turn this off. Okay, let's go for the after takeoff checklist. That is the after takeoff checklist, just turning that off basically, as well as checking the landing gear lever is off. Be good when we can actually climb a little bit more, get above the clouds. Because we're just right in that cloud layer at the moment. Let's see when we'll start to climb. B4 Sierra Foxtrot Delta, as you can see on the MFD. So we'll start to climb soon. And of course, just as we turn off the windshield wipers. Let's take it to low. A fair bit of rain coming at us now. We are due to start climbing up to 200,000 shortly. Just turn on to Sierra Foxtrot Delta, so we should start the climb. Let's take a closer look. There you go. So we should start climbing above it. There you go. On our way. Oh, let's windshield wipers off. Got a little bit of banding on that sky. You know, quite frankly, I can live with stock clouds. I know there's a lot of controversy about pretty much anybody that does a... That looks really pretty, doesn't it? Yeah, there's a lot of controversy over anybody that does any sort of weather engine or weather add-on. I could certainly live with this. We've got some interesting things coming up with the different weather engines. And it's good to see that. It's good to see companies getting involved with X-Plane, and also finding it worthwhile to work through all the quirks that X-Plane has. I would say that people need to be a little bit understanding of what a difficult task it can be to develop software of this kind on a platform of this nature. It's a bit odd. Strange moon effect. Nice reflection there. Even with reflection turned right down, you can still get some really nice reflections. There's a nice view too. We start out over the channel. You should be paying more attention to the flight itself. Heading to, in fact, let's oops, wrong one. Let's get our landing lights off. Actually, we should be on standard. Too busy appreciating the sights. Looks like a little bit flat, but again for stock that's pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. What's the time? About 6:30. And approaching 20,000 feet. It's got a pretty much straight run. Coming up to top of climb.
Thousand to go.
Really pretty sky. Okay, coming up to 20,000 feet. And level off. You find the correct switches, there you go.